Hello everyone, Andy here, and here's what you can look forward to in today's episode.
In today's episode, me and guest Aaron Fletcher design our perfect NFL themed days. Me and Aaron have very different starts in the mornings.
We live very different lives here, Andy. We live very different lives.
And I explain why I wouldn't want to watch the NFL with my close mates.
But that's it. All my friends hate it, so I don't want to spend my 6 hours having to explain what first down is.
Hope you guys enjoy.
Hello and welcome back to the Across the Pod NFL podcast. I am, as ever, your host, Andy Davis, here for today's episode. And today's episode is a similar theme to last year where I had Aaron Fletcher on and we did our perfect Super Bowl. This included who the two teams were playing in the Super Bowl, where it was being played, what we were wearing, maybe what we were eating. Whereas this year, I've got Aaron on again, and we are doing our perfect NFL-themed day. But before we do that, let's head to On This Day. Now, on this day, on the 4th of May in 1974, the NFL granted a franchise to the Seattle Seahawks, and the likes of Marquise Brown, Skylar Thompson, and Will McDonald IV were all born. Now, before we introduce Aaron, we did have a quiz question in the last episode. So we had the question of, after George Halas and Cody Lambeau, who has the third most ties as an NFL head coach? Now, I have to apologise. This is a tough question to ask because this guy was head coach from 1930 to 1953, but no one got it. So in the end, the answer was Steve Owen, but we will give you an easier question this time around. So we saw a post from NFL UK a few weeks ago where they had the top 10 selling jerseys in the UK and Ireland since the 2025 NFL draft. Now, number 3 was Josh Allen. Number 2 was Lamar Jackson. But who was number 1? We will post it on socials, but let us know in the comments, however you're watching this, whether it's YouTube or Spotify, what is your answer to the most sold jersey in the UK and Ireland since the 2025 NFL draft? Now, let's introduce Aaron. Let's get him on. Aaron, how are you?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Good. Yeah, good. Even better after I beat you a mastermind on the Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover podcast. So I had made it to the final of that. So, pleasure doing battle with you.
I wish I could say the same. I knew that was going to get rubbed into my face at some point. A worthy winner, of course. A worthy adversary. I was trying to think of the correct terminology. Worthy adversary. Good luck in the final against Tom. Tom, obviously, being one of AAW's very own. So, I'm just happy. There's happy some representation there in the final. But yeah, you absolutely smashed it, mate. Well done.
Yeah, I was pleased with my performance because, I was a bit worried about the pressure of, being an NFL podcast host. If I come out and have a stinking round and I get maybe 1 or 2 and that's it in the whole 2 rounds combined, then I'm going to, give a bad account myself. But I was happy with it, happy with my score. And looking forward to the final. I don't know who's made the other 2 spots. I think there's 16 people doing it in total. And do check it out, by the way. Of course, they are friends of the show. So do check out their mastermind episodes. They've done, I believe, 2 episodes so far. We've got 2 more to go. And then we'll have a final. I haven't been told when I'm doing it yet. But it'll be some point over the summer, I am sure. But today's episode, as I said at the start of the show, we are doing our NFL Perfect Day. So we've narrowed down to these categories. So we're doing basically the morning wake up, what we're having for breakfast, are we doing anything, watching anything on TV, doing anything else around the morning, and then getting on to before the game, the few hours before that leads up to the game, and then finally what you're doing from 6 p.m. onwards. We avoided the use of going to a game because that's going to be a pretty short episode. We went to the stadium, we tailgated, went to the game, went home. So I think I kind of done it by watching on TV. Now, this could be watching at a pub, watching it at home, watching out of friends, however we want it to be. But this will all become clear in the episode. So, let's start off with breakfast. And we will, as you are a guest, we'll let you go first, Aaron. So, how's your morning looking on this perfect NFL day? How are you waking up? And how's it going to go down for you?
So it depends on the weekend that it is. So every other weekend, I have a child that is with me over the weekend. So that heavily favors what time wake up is. Unfortunately, no Lions when children are involved. But I don't know how honest you want me to be about my breakfast. I have what I have what we call well, no, we'll say no breakfast for the most part, but we have what I was called growing up on the estate. It was a council estate breakfast, which includes a roll up and a coffee, or a cup of tea, depending on your persuasion on that one. I tend not to eat breakfast. I'm quite bad with that. I do need to improve on it, though. But yeah, coffee, feet up, and again, if I've got my daughter, then it'll be just getting her breakfast, which will be cereal. 90% of the time it will be cereal. Probably, I don't know why I say probably. It's always the same. Basically, Crave. She adores Crave. She will eat Crave for every meal if she could. And I will sit there and just kind of wake up slowly throughout the day, or slowly as the morning progresses. If I've not got my daughter, bit of a later start to the day. Same breakfast, same thing I'm doing, just an hour or two later.
Fair play. Well, my sort of morning's it's going to sound very middle class. My answer here, I have to apologise to the listeners. It's not going to be the most, I'd say, normal breakfast. So actually, first of all, I've gone for. Now, I'm very lucky where I live. We do have a gym and a swimming pool in our complex. So my morning is I'll wake up, I'll go straight to the gym before I eat. I'll go for like half an hour, 45 minutes, just get some exercise in. But then what I'll do, I kind of, the morning wake up, I think my ideal wake up time, if I'm not doing things the night before on a Saturday night, I'll go to bed at my normal time, 10 p.m., try and keep the body clock afloat. So yeah, I think, I've maybe watch match a day, go to bed about 11 o'clock, then wake up in the morning. I will then, about 9 o'clock in the morning, I'll wake up, maybe 8:30 if I'm at a stretch, and I will go to the gym, and then I'll then go for a swim. I'll do about between 3 and 5 laps. I'll then chill in the jacuzzi in this pool complex and just chill for like half an hour. And what I normally do is I will think about NFL games, or sometimes football games, depending on what the games are on a Sunday. But I will certainly think about sports coming up that day and sort of think about how I think they're going to go down and everything else. So I'll chill in there for about maybe 2 spins of the jacuzzi. I'll wait for the bubbles to go, then they'll go again. And after that second lot, I will then go. And then here comes more middle class of me here. I'll go home, and it's not something I have regularly because it is expensive, but in an imaginary world, eggs royale. So some scrambled egg, some poached egg, and some smoked salmon on some sourdough bread, which I've not had in ages, but I used to have it all the time when I lived in Bristol. There was a place near us called what was it called? Boston Tea Party in Bristol. Shout out to them. And I used to live in Clifton, and I used to have that quite a lot of Sunday mornings or Saturday mornings. So that's what I'm going to have. And whilst I'm eating that, I'm watching The Simpsons on Channel 4.
Love it.
That is my morning.
So I'm going to throw in there. I just want to say I went for a council estate breakfast. You went for a dip in the jacuzzi and some eggs royale. I think we live very different lives here, Andy. We live very different lives. I will throw in there, though, that I mean, the reason I called it the Asleep at Work Network is because I'm one of those madmen who never sleeps for the most part. So chances are, if we're looking at the NFL season, the reason I will probably be getting up slightly later than yourself would be Saturday is college football day. I will be watching college football. I will be watching 2 G5 teams that none of you have ever heard of play at 3 a.m, because that's the kind of person that I am. And then we'll be cracking on with the day. But that sounds brilliant. I just get so bored of the jacuzzi. I prefer, if I was to, I'd just go on the yacht instead. Trying to make myself sound important here, and like I'm not just. Do you though? I'll ask you this: do you check social media? Because obviously, there'll be college football stuff that's kind of tailed into the next day that I'll try and follow up on. I'll always check social media. But obviously, if we've got news on any injuries to players that's come out, any last minute news, any pieces coming out throughout the day, would you also be doing that in the morning and catching up and getting ready for the news for the day?
I tend to not do it. I mean, I will say that my resolution for next season to not use my phone during the game, because I find that in both sports I watch, football and NFL, I find that I just look at my phone and I'm kind of missing the action. It's a bit easier to not miss it in NFL because it is pauses in the game, but football-wise, I'm terrible for looking at my phone, and I'm looking up and I've missed about 20 minutes. So I think that's something I need to work on. I think, especially with my smart TV being slightly behind time to my friends on my group chats, I've now learned that I think there's a game last year, West Ham Liverpool, where I missed. I found out about the Van Dijk winner because I was on my phone and someone mentioned it. So I think next season the plan is definitely if I'm watching it at home, in the bar it's easy because you can put it in your jeans pocket and you can do all that. But if I'm watching it at home, I need to learn more just to put my phone away. So I tend to try and avoid social media because my thing is I'm watching sport all day. I need that little bit in the morning just to have something completely non-sport. Why it's The Simpsons or How I Met Your Mother or something like that.
Yeah.
Switch off, and then I can then really enjoy it. Then come start the games. But I sometimes do, especially for fantasy football reasons. I mean, I'm definitely gonna cram down on leagues this year because I have been in far too many over the years. But certainly, checking it, any updates, see whether any players are going to be missing, any injury status. And I think sometimes if there's a huge news that comes out, I do look at Twitter anyway just to check notifications. And sometimes a new story will come up that I've not heard yet, and that sometimes can take over. And I think certainly like things like basketball and ice hockey, where I can't do late nights with those, so I sometimes will find out the scores on there. And I think especially when it is NFL season, I have less time to watch the hockey and the basketball. So certainly by then it's a good time to look at stuff like that, especially with the amount of games they have. It's so hard to keep up otherwise. But try if I can. And sometimes my girlfriend and I will go for a little walk around the block. But this is the perfect day. So the perfect day, sadly, is not with my girlfriend. It involves later on in the day, some other people I'm hanging around with. But certainly in the morning, if she's there, we can go for a little walk before my 1 p.m. festivities.
Have to do it. Have to keep the other half happy. They have to be involved at some point in the perfect day, even if it's an NFL perfect day. But it has to be done, and it sounds good though. And I always have tweet notifications from Tom Pelissero, Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter, and a couple of the other primary reporters. And obviously, while they're not necessarily tweeting specific Detroit Lions news, which would obviously be what I'd be following more closely than others, I at least get kind of the generic updates and the slightly wider league updates and the more important updates. And I don't have to go scrolling through Twitter to find them. They're on the notification screen, aren't they? They're on your home screen. So it's nice, easy to kind of keep up on top of it. Just to quickly check. Okay, that's happening. Done.
Yeah, exactly. I think sometimes a news story is that big, you can't avoid it. It is one of those things where sometimes if a news story is that big, then sometimes it's really hard to, even if it's not Twitter, it's your WhatsApp messages going off, then you're like, something's happened, you check that, and then you go on Twitter that way. So I will eventually find a way to go on my social media during the day, but I do sometimes try to avoid it if I can. Moving on now to the sort of the few hours before the game starts. Now, my one is going from 1 p.m. onwards, but you ought to be 2 p.m. midday. Yeah. But you've had your breakfast, you've had your, to quote yourself, a cancel state breakfast. You've had your time with the girl, your crave. What's happening then?
If I got my way every week, every day, it would be Popeyes for dinner, or lunch. Sorry, I forgot we're being not too northern today. For lunch, it'd be Popeyes. It has to be by law. I would make it that so. By the way, if I was Prime Minister, that'd be my first thing I ever pass. Popeyes for everybody on a Sunday. I think again, it totally depends, and this is where it's weird, kind of coming at it from kind of the life that I live's point of view is that every other week changes. So if I've got my daughter again, we'll probably go out. Depending on the weather. If it's October, November, December time, as most people will know, it's called Rainchester for a reason. We will probably not be going out too far if we do it indoors. So we'll be doing something. Could be something crafty during the day. Could be something going out wise, or we'll just be spending time with my daughter, and she'll go home a little bit later on in the afternoon, be making the most out of that time, trying my hardest not to check Twitter and check Facebook and check Instagram and check all those apps. So I'll try and make sure there's, like, especially for the AAW network, there'll be scheduled posts that kind of maybe filter out through the day. If I do get the chance to retweet something, I can do. But I've been making the most out of that time. Dare I go on my soapbox and say that the time with my daughter is the most precious thing out of all of it, and I would make the most out of that. But also, I think if I'm not with my daughter, it'll be spending some time with the wife, because she is about to be a widow for a few hours. Well, say a few hours until 3-4 in the morning. That's a thing. It happens, as your girlfriend will be painfully aware. Hopefully we may find out later in the episode that she's not painfully aware of that, and she's not widowed during those hours. But yeah, we'll be spending some time doing something. Again, the weather's crap. We might just be staying at home and watching some TV, and I'll allow Mrs. Fletch to take control of the TV. She can have the remote up until 5:30, and she can watch whatever she wants. On the proviso that once 5:30 hits, I get that remote. And so it'll generally vary. But it will constitute doing something and keeping one of the two ladies in my life very, very happy for a few hours.
I love that. It is a fine balance, isn't it? But I think you're right about the balancing. And I think there's often times where not in today's episode, not in my dream scenario, but normal Sunday revolves around NFL starts on Sunday. Well, about an hour after it starts, what comes on BBC One? Street Come Dancing. And the same thing when I was living at home with my parents. It was a case of, we'd had football on from 1 p.m. till 6 p.m., 7 p.m. My mum will then take over the controls and ensure what country file and Street Come Dancing. So, yeah, with my girlfriend Jess, yeah, often it's a case where it is, around about 7 o'clock in the evening, it is a case where she's got Street Come Dancing on the main screen. I've got on the iPad, but after that, it's mine to have then. So, yeah, I love that. I love the fact you've given that consideration, and on to what will be later on, finding out what your evening entails. But
yes,
for my pre-game activities, now I've gone for a bit of a sport-heavy day. So I've gone from 1 p.m. We arrived. It's a place called Fan Golf in Cardiff. Shout out to them. It's a crazy golf place, but it's not just your standard crazy golf place. There's definitely some themes to the holes that may be 18 plus, but it's a funny thing to experience. It's and they have live music. They have arcade games afterwards. But I do like stuff like that, like arcade bars. I quite like, so things like where you can play golf, or where you can do bowling, or where you can just play arcade games. I'm sort of well into that, and I wish that when I was a student that was more the thing. I know you've probably got something like Roxy's your end. I think we've got Roxy's in Cardiff as well, but it's like a Roxy's. It's that kind of vibe. And for this part, I've got my friends who aren't into sport, aren't into NFL. They will sort of come with me for this bit, and then maybe then later on I'll be joined by people I'm watching the NFL with. Then after we've done Fan Golf, we'll then head to the sports bar. Now this is sort of linking the two, because we'll go there from 3 p.m. until the end of the night. I've gone for a place called 11th Bar, which is owned by the one and only Gareth Bale in Cardiff. So it's a great sports bar. I've not really delved into too many sports bars in Cardiff. I normally just watch sports games at home. But I found 11th to be the best. And there, from about the 3 p.m., we'll then dig into, I don't know whether it is Ford anymore, but Ford Super Sunday. We'll stick on the Premier League action. So second half of the first game, and then head on to the big game at 4:30, which, would obviously alter if it was Liverpool or a big game like that at 1:30, but normally the big games are at 4:30. So we'll watch that, and then that will then tee into 6 p.m. when the NFL games start. And you will have a brief half an hour spell where you've got double screens, where you've got the NFL and the Premier League. But yeah, that's all where my afternoon takes me. I love sports bars, probably the most out of any sort of thing you can do with friends. I'm a big fan of sports bars, and I think there's nothing better. I know I did a tweet about it the other day. I did have to endure the Champions League final, sat next to an absolute idiot who was chatting absolute nonsense and horrible things.
I saw that.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. But normally, I I find sports bars a very good atmosphere, and I feel like, if you got people around you who like the sport, who are into sport, and they're not too laddie or they're not too loud, then I find sports bars to be very good. So that's sort of where my afternoon takes me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on the event as well that's on in the sports bar. Something like the Champions League final is just, I think you're a bit more bound to attract someone who is a bit more loud and abrasive and whatnot, just because but on an NFL Sunday evening, or even during the Super Bowl, you will find that the crowd is a bit more open to the event that's specifically taking place and wanting to be part of that, rather than it's the Champions League final, so I just want to kind of go out and have what's going on. On the note of the arcade bars and whatnot, what we do have up in Manchester, and I would implore you, obviously, if you're ever in Manchester and did not tell me and did not get the chance to come say hello, I would be punched to the gut. But if you are ever in Manchester and you're spending a bit of time and you've got a bit of time to kill, let me know, because I will take you to Bury. And in Bury, they've got Arcade Club. There's only a couple of them in the round, the dotted about the north. One's in Leeds, one's in Blackpool as well. You pay, I think it's about 15 quid. There are 4 floors, and it's all arcade games. And once you're in, they're all free. And you can spend as long as you want in there, however long you want, go on as many games as you want. There's a lot of dance mats. I would love to get revenge for Mastermind on a dance mat.
You would definitely win that as well.
Trust. I think no one would really win that. Apart from if it was videoed, I think the internet might win that one. But yeah, it's a brilliant little place. Me and Mrs. Fletcher like to go. We took my brother and my daughter over. They had hours and hours of what we thought we'd go the first time. I was like, oh, we'll have an hour and we'll get a bit bored and we'll go. 4 hours later, we were like, might need to start thinking about skedaddling a little bit here. It's brilliant. I absolutely love it. So definitely, if you're ever up these ways, I would love to escort you to somewhere like that. And they've got some of the old retro NFL arcade games and the NBA ones.
Yeah. Is it Blitz, or am I thinking is it NFL Blitz, or am I thinking of a different?
I can't remember the name of it, but it was out of order. It wasn't actually out the last time I went. Otherwise, I would have got a nice little video of me playing it for everything. But I did play on the NBA one as the Pistons, and that was really fun to play in. But they've got all the old Donkey Kongs and the Mario Kart, the old Marios, the Sonics, your old classics, up to Xbox Ones and PS5s and whatnot that are in there. It's a really cool play. It really is. It's brilliant. But yeah, I love that kind of thing.
If I'm ever in there, I will let you know. And if we do go, we will have to invite Paul Redmond as well from Good Teams Win.
Yes.
As well, because he is from that area, from the Manchester area. So we will have to hit him up and do like a...
So, hang on. What I've just heard is we then need to invite someone else. So if I've heard it right, there's going to have to be 4 people, and that is 2 semi-finals and a final on the dance mats. That's what I've just heard.
Oh yeah. I mean,
the NFL UK social media podcaster, content creator, dance mat championship has to be an annual event. I think personally, we've just created it, and it's wonderful.
Well, it can't be any worse than my throwing at the Super Bowl. Let's put it that way.
We'll move on from that.
Well, moving on. Let's go on to our later slate. So we got to the point where the games are starting. Now, I've already revealed where I'm going to be watching the game.
Yes.
At 11th bar in Cardiff. Now, Aaron, we'll do one by one in this part of the section. Where are you watching the game at 6 p.m? Are you watching it at home? Are you out somewhere? How are you watching it on the Sunday?
Obviously, you would always think of me as this. I seem like such an outgoing and sociable person, and in general, I am. I genuinely love the comfort of my own home for these games. Something like the Super Bowl, I had a great time this year. It was the first time in years I've actually been out for the Super Bowl. Went to the Ballers Super Bowl party in Blackpool, and that was a brilliant night. Loved being around people. Being around people who like the sport and like watching it, and know what they're talking about. I've done those nights where students have turned up back in the olden days when I used to go out to pubs in the evening and clubs in the evening. Who would turn up and I'd know about the sport, but everyone around me didn't, and it was kind of frustrating. They were always respectful and lovely, but having to go right, okay, so that's a first down. You've got to get 10 yards to get with it, and having to explain that through. I've tried to do that the first time I watched the Super Bowl with Mrs. Fletcher as well. But in fact, no, she'd already got that halfway through the season. But I like the comfort of my own home. I really do. I have. You've already mentioned the whole. There's that hour you need to have a crossover between two screens. Oh, Andy, I'm living on multiple screens throughout the week already. College football, there's a wonderful 55-day period where there is a college football or NFL game every single night for at least 8 weeks. At least, it was round about 8 weeks up until the Thanksgiving period. And the MAC play 2-3 times, two games a night, or other conferences play 2 games a night. So I've been watching a couple of them. And that doesn't change my life on an NFL Sunday. I like the main TV, and I have my desk in the same room as the living room. So, my main desk is in the room with the living room. So I've got Red Zone on the main TV. That's a given. It's Red Zone, unless the Detroit Lions are playing. Red Zone on the TV. My second screen on my desk has the game that I would prefer. I will go through the games. We do the preview pod on a Thursday. I chat with my co-hosts, and we will go through which game from each slate is the best one, or what we feel is the one we most closely want to watch. It'll be different for all of us. If the Saints are playing, which they will be a lot at 6 p.m. this year because they're terrible. No, Mrs. Fletcher didn't hear that one. Yeah, it'll be the Saints on that screen because Mrs. Fletcher at least gets investment.
Is she a Saints fan?
She is.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
She can't tell you. Can tell you one, like Drew Brees. You can tell you who Drew Brees is. Says quietly. But she can't name. Not a diehard, put it that way. She has interest and she would like to watch the game. Probably have the Saints game on. And then so Red Zone, Saints game. And then normally on my laptop, there'll be, whether it's a social media feed or some of the advanced stats coming through, just so might tweet on behalf of the AW network on that one. But that'll tend to be my 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. slate. It'll be a game that I specifically want to watch, Red Zone on the main TV, and then other stuff going through on the third screen. So I'm brave enough to have the tablet on the go as well. Scary times.
That is the real commitment to the cause when you got the three devices on at once. Because it's pretty good effort. That is. I mean, I do try. My normal thing is having Red Zone and having Dolphins on Game Pass, and then Red Zone on the sort of main. And also, like, for some reason, the Zone on my smart TV doesn't actually keeps freezing. Doesn't actually work. So I have to have Now TV on. So that normally will be where I have Red Zone, and then it'll be Dolphins on my iPad on my phone. So sounds like a good evening. If I'm honest, sounds like nice, comfortable. You can wear your joggers, or you can wear whatever you want. Keeping it PG, of course.
Well, I will throw it out there. I'm wearing clothes. There will be bottom half and top half covered throughout the evening. I'll just so we're all aware. None of those rumors are true.
Will you be sort of cooking any food at that point, or is that point that you've done for meeting? Like, what would your sort of, in your dream sort of NFL day, what would your sort of evening?
So again, dream NFL Sunday would be takeaway. We'll get a takeaway, and come on, it's got to be a pizza, burger, kebab, anything, just a takeaway. I'm very fortunate in that Mrs. Fletch likes cooking. She loves to cook. And she is a damn good cook as well, I might add. And I'm not saying that because she's my wife. I'm saying that because it's true. She's a damn good cook. So I'll tend to, obviously, we'll split cooking throughout the week, and she'll normally take on, especially throughout the season, she'll take on Sundays. So I can, if we're dropping off the daughter at 5 o'clock, it is a race to get back home for 6. But we'll normally make it. It's normally fine. And Mrs. Fletcher will then just go and start cooking. What's I say? Dream would be a takeaway. But what I would say is there are just a couple of specific meals that you really like to have, and they're normally something that we make a Korean mac and cheese. Now, I'm not the biggest mac and cheese fan, but I really like Korean mac and cheese. It's one of my favorite meals. It's the perfect Sunday treat because you can kind of go get it at halftime. If it's made by the end of the first quarter, it doesn't really matter. You can kind of leave it for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, go and get it, and it's still really nice. And then just as you get towards the end of the first slate and beginning of the second slate, the perfect time for a second bowl. Get halfway through, 2/3 of the way through that 9 p.m. slate. Perfect time for a third bowl. And just when you need that final energy boost, and there's normally a lot of gochujang in it, so it's quite spicy. I'll drop a little bit of extra gochujang, and then that'll light me up till Sunday night football.
Fair play. Now, that does sound pretty good, actually. I'm not going to lie. Now, I'm not going to lie. I do like also the comfort of my own home. I do like the fact that I can just sit down, watch sport in my joggers. But I have one issue. I have very easy nature to fall asleep. I generally think I've got a list of all the football games I've missed falling. I think 3 of the last 4 years I've missed huge Champions League games falling asleep. I think I missed Madrid's comeback against you guys, Man City, when they played us in the final 21-22 season. I missed Madrid's comeback last year against Bayern Munich, and I missed the whole second half and extra time of Barca against Inter Milan the other week. So my thing is, I have an awful problem staying awake past a certain time. I'm not an early bird or a night owl. I'm sort of somewhere in the middle. But I do struggle to stay awake. So I sort of picked the bar because I wanted to make sure that I could stay awake for these games.
Yes.
Normally I'm pretty good at NFL. Normally I'm pretty good at staying awake for it. I think I have to have some sort of, I don't know how I do at NFL. I somehow have more success with that than football, even though the games are on later. But I do find the time. I think maybe it's because they're on only 5 months a year. Maybe it's that thing of every game matters sort of approach. So I did pick a bar. I would normally like to do my own thing and do in my joggers in my house, but I think to try and stay awake, I think I'd like to go to a bar. And like you, I think going to a bar watching NFL with non-NFL fans is a really bad experience. Because spending the whole time explaining the rules. So I picked my sort of thing to be, I'm watching it with 10 guests on the podcast, but I'm not going to name names because I've got so many good friends from this podcast world.
Yeah.
So many guests I've had on that I love. I have spent time with, haven't spent time with in person. And so I don't want to name 10 names, but I kind of think as much as I love Jess, as much as I love all my mates, I got no friends from home that like NFL. I got one friend, Naeem, from Eurotrips, who does like it, but that's it. All my friends hate it, so I don't want to spend my 6 hours having to explain what a first down is. Like you said, explain, what the flags are, explain why they're wearing helmets and why it's, why they're wearing padding and all that stuff that all NFL UK fans know. I can't be doing that. It's my dream day. I want to just enjoy it. So, it's me and the 10 podcast friends. We're all watching the game, and then sit down. And I think for food-wise, now this is a hypothetical magic world, so calories and fat intake are out of the question. So I've gone for the pizzas. I think pizza's the classic thing. I think you get I went to a wedding the other day, and there was loads of different mini pizzas. There was pepperoni.
Ooh.
Had that. You had Hawaiian pizza, margarita. You had chicken and peppers. I think having a big feast of different kind of pizzas you can all share between the 10 of you is great. So I'd have that. And then I do have a sweet tooth. So again, definite imaginary world. But I'm going to combine my 3 favorite desserts into 2 desserts. Now, this sounds a bit crazy because it's not something that you do very often.
Colour me intrigued.
Yeah.
Colour me intrigued.
So my favorite dessert in the whole world is a banoffee pie. I absolutely love it.
Classic.
I'd eat it if I could. I'd have it every day of my life. I think it's an amazing dessert. But also, I love donuts and I love Biscoff. Now, the other day, I found for the first time ever, I found a Biscoff banoffee pie in Narberth in Wales. It was as good as it sounds. So my dream is right, banoffee pie, but with Biscoff donuts on the side. Now, a Biscoff donut, if you like Biscoff and you like donuts, this is like sort of for me, the holy grail of eating donuts. For me, it's an amazing combination, and I think for me, I'm going for the Biscoff donuts, maybe mini to make it not as filling. Mini Biscoff donuts next to banoffee pie with loads of whipped cream. That's me. Yeah. That would help me. And again, I think like you, I'll go for the whole in between games. Sometimes I want to actually watch a game rather than look down while I'm eating. So maybe at the end of the first game, that little 20-minute lull between the first and second game, I'll then go on to have that dessert and enjoy the rest of the game. And I will say as well, I'll wear my Jalen Waddle jersey, but I will have a black Dolphins hoodie over me whilst I'm eating. And once I finish eating, I'll then take it off because that jersey was not cheap from Hard Rock. So I don't want to get stains on the first time wearing it. So
no, you do not.
Yeah, that's really where my night will go. I think.
Yeah.
I'll try and stay till the end. Now, I do get very tired. So I think sometimes I will. If I get tired, I will stop watching and then I'll sort of watch the rest in the morning on Game Pass before work. But I do try and stick it out till the end, and then the morning as per normal. Then, but that's where we'll sort of end the night. Everyone will go home, and that is where my perfect NFL day will end.
Well, I was going to say one of the best things for me as well. I don't have the same issue. I feel like if we could come back, do the banoffee, do the donuts and the Biscoff and squash them together and make the perfect. If we could take your sleep and my sleep and squash them together, I think we both have very good sleeping patterns. Well, you both have an excellent sleeping pattern at least, but we both benefit a lot from it. So I don't have that problem of just naturally falling asleep as things kind of happen. I have the exact opposite problem of as I go to bed and I go, all right, I've got 2 hours now before I get to go to work. It's, well, there's an extra 2 hours awake for me now. That's going to be a thing, and we're not going to sleep, and I'll power through the next day and it'll all be fine. I fear though that's going to start catching up to me as I'm nearly in my 30s now. I'm scared that that's going to catch up to me, but what I find really helpful, and I've been incredibly fortunate to have over the last couple of years is, I mean, I use Discord a lot. I love that. I love Discord. I'm in quite a few different communities. The college football Saturdays has been excellent. We've done some watch parties on the AAW Discord, and we've just sit there and we'll watch. Like, we'll all be watching a different game. Obviously, all of them on Sky Sports. And appropriately available in the United Kingdom. So, but we'll all be watching games of college football, and we'll kind of just talk about what's happening and all the different things that are going on, which is great. And I have the same thing for Sundays. So again, if the Lions are not playing, Meg, who I believe is a friend of the podcast as well, has been on before. She has a fantastic Discord community of her own. And the little community that the community that she's put together has been excellent, and they really got me through a lot of those tough nights, those Thursday night football games last year where it was tough to stay awake through. They were trying to bore you to sleep on occasion. That community was fantastic and really helped keep the energy and keep the enthusiasm as the game goes on. And then if the Lions are on, look, I love Mrs. Fletcher and I love getting to watch football with Mrs. Fletcher. My daughter has pinned her colours to the Chiefs as of late. I'll give you one guess as to why an 8-year-old girl has chosen the Kansas City Chiefs. I bet you'll get it in, I bet you didn't even need the opportunity to have one guess.
And the hate is gonna hate. And
exactly. Alex Smith, a favourite player of all time. And she's big Creed Humphrey fan as well. But it has been, if I was to take one person who I would sit there and explain all the rules to and sit there and deal with it, it's my daughter. I'm so glad that she's kind of taking some sort of interest. So I thank Taylor Swift for that one, by the way. I really, really do. But when the Lions are on, there are only two people I ever want to sit there and spend that game with. It's on Discord. I have a very private server where there's just 3 of us, and we voice call, we video call. They're both friends of mine from Detroit. One of them lived in Indianapolis for a bit. One of them lives in North Carolina at the moment. But they are 2 of my favorite people in the entire world. And to get through the Dallas Cowboys game a couple of years ago with the Dan Skipper Taylor Decker being eligible thing, through the horrible moments like that, to sitting and watching the Lions' first playoff win in 30 odd years, to all the highs and lows of the last season. My perfect NFL Sunday would be watching it with them in person if I could choose anything. But spending it with them, even on Discord, is absolutely is by far the best way I could spend it. And I think having that opportunity to spend the time with people who know the sport, whilst in the comfort of my own home, and keeping it PG and still wearing clothes throughout the whole event, it is by far my favorite, and I would take that over any night in a sports bar. I would take both of those things over that anytime.
That's really nice. I mean, I think there's a lot of negatives about social media, but I think that right there, what you told me about the Discord and your friends from Detroit, is exactly what social media is about, and that's exactly why what it does bring. That's why it will never die, because of things like that. I think
so.
Yeah. Sorry,
I would say, but while I say that, I just want to say, Rhonda, Chris, thank you for everything. I love you all. I'm giving you all a shout out as well. So thank you. I love you both very much.
Well, shout out to Randall, Chris. If you are listening to the podcast, shout out to you too, because it sounds like you make Aaron's Sundays pretty good.
They do.
Well, I want to add one more thing to my thing. I just want to say, you mentioned how there's one person you can endure having to explain the rules to while watching it will be your daughter. For me, it would be Stephen Gerrard. If he is listening, you're always welcome to come down to watch the sport with me. I think he's free. He's got no job at the moment. So TNT Sports on a Saturday night. Come down to Cardiff on Sunday. I'll show you a good time at Fan Golf. I'll show you a good time at 11 Sports Bar.
You insert GIF. They had us in the first half. Not gonna lie. I was thinking, Jessie's such a lucky woman. She's gonna get this wonderful shout out, and it was Stephen Gerrard. Just be careful. Don't leave any water on the floor. Don't leave any other things in case you slip.
Yeah, you have to go there, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, you threw Stephen Gerrard in my face, so I'm gonna and you threw the beating me at Mastermind. Take it, you're smarter than me, but also so it's fine. Throw one little one back.
Fair enough. Well, that is a good way to end the podcast. So, hope you enjoyed wherever you're listening to the show or watching, and do let us know in the comments what your perfect NFL Sunday would be and what your sort of perfect day out would be through the NFL. I would love to know what you all have in mind, and yeah, I will maybe put a TikTok video out, maybe a YouTube video or an Instagram video, just to sort of ask you guys what you think about your perfect NFL day. And of course, don't forget, do give us your answers to the question we asked at the start of the show about which is the most sold NFL jersey in the UK and Ireland since the draft. And don't forget to use code Andy5 at checkout at fantasygameday.app for money back off your first pay lineup. But we won't show the next episode the answer to the quiz question because we are recording that tomorrow. And we want to give you guys time to answer the question. So we are doing an episode tomorrow with where AI decides the content of the episode with a very special guest. So keep an eye out for that. That'll be out most likely either end of this week or start of next week. And one after that is where we will reveal the answer to our quiz question. So do keep an eye out on all socials for the quiz question and your chance to get a shout out on the episode. But in the meantime, Aaron, as always, absolute pleasure having you on.
And as always, an absolute pleasure being on every time.
And if you don't know already, who are listening, Aaron does some great work over at the Sleep at Work Network.
Yep.
Aaron, what can we look forward to in the next few weeks?
Yeah, so the college, so at the AAW network, it's obviously the podcasts that we run throughout there. There are a couple more coming up, but the two ones that we've got going at the moment, we've got Hurdle the Line, and obviously we'll be going through all the different things throughout the off season, just kind of plodding along as we do throughout the off season. College Football UK is kind of where it's at the moment. There's a lot of moves happening on that side of the football. We have a mini series going on right now, as of obviously when this drops, that'll be underway. Where if you are familiar with college football, you'll already know. If you aren't, college football is in a bit of a weird state at the moment. Everything's changing all the time, and it looks like, if you ever remember the Super League, the Premier League, a lot of European football teams wanting to create a Super League. There's the idea that something similar like that could happen in college football and the whole that kind of thing going on. So we're doing a mini series where we redesign a post-apocalyptic college football, where you wake up one morning and all your clubs have gone on. Your favorite club has gone on to join the Super League. College football is you feel like college football is dead as you know it. What does that future look like? And we're going to redesign that future, which is really exciting. We've got some extra special guests in there from the college football media, UK media circle, and UK and Ireland media circle, to kind of go through us. So the first episode is, how did we get here? Like, what happened to get to the, not post-apocalypse, pre-apocalypse? How did we get there? With a wonderful guest to go through that with us. And then the week after, we'll be talking about how we restructure it. How does that look? Will it take on similar to an NFL style structure? Would it take on its own structure? Obviously, there's a lot more teams and there's a lot more things you got. Week after, we'll look at the governance and how does that go? Again, does it run more like a pro league? Does it run continuously like college football? How does that look? And that's going on. It's going to be hopefully really in depth. I hope really informative and helpful, but also fun. And it's just a nice little project to work on. We've got some great interviews also lined up for the channel on the way. Some related to college football, some related to the NFL. Can't say too much because not too many of them are actually officially confirmed. They're just kind of on the way to being confirmed. But there's a lot of stuff happening. It's really exciting. So just lots of stuff. Again, just lots of stuff happening. But the main crux of it, I think, right now is college football is kind of where everything's just a lot of fun on that side of the ball.
Well, fair play. So do check out, if you haven't already, check out all of those networks he gave, Hurdle the Line, the Sleep at Work, College Football UK, everything else he does. Go check it out. But in the meantime, this has been the Across the Pod NFL podcast, where we design our perfect NFL themed day. I have been, as ever, your host, Andy Davis, with today's guests, Fletcher, and we'll see you guys